Why would anybody want to hurt a child? You know, the only thing I felt as a child being abused when I was growing up was that I was worthless. You know, it took away my self-esteem and confidence. Why would anybody want to do that to a child? I was born in South West London, in Brixton. When I was very young, I thought that I was quite happy as a child because I had my grandmother, who my father brought over from Jamaica to take care of us, because my mother had left when we was very young. The only problems we had, but we accepted it as normal behaviour, was that we would get a lot of beatings. But in my father's case, it was particularly over violence. He would do things like tell you that you were going to get a beating before you actually got the beating, and things like that. My father was also a drug dealer, so I grew up in a life that evolved around crime and selling drugs, stuff like that. Most of the people that I knew growing up were also involved in crime or drugs. When I was 13, there was an incident with my father where he attacked my grandmother. And I suppose all the beatings that I had taken from him over the years and everything like that, I could take them, but there's something snapped in me when he attacked my grandmother. And I grabbed hold of him, but it was just kind of instantaneous. I grabbed hold of him, and the next thing I was thinking is, what am I going to do now? Because he's a big, powerful man, and I was actually terrified of him. In the end, you know, we were there grappling for a little while until eventually I pushed him away and my grandmother said, run. And I ran out the house. Luckily enough, he didn't catch me, and I ran away. And from the age of 13, I found myself on the streets. By the age of 14, I became a father. So by the age of 15, I had my own flat and own family, basically. I suppose in those days, though, there was no help or support from the government or the system or social services or anything like that. And for me, the only means I had of supporting myself was by selling drugs or committing crime, which is what I did. And that's how my life was for most of my life. As a young lad, I had quite a bit of money, and that in turn helped me to meet the right people and get involved in bigger deals and different propositions until eventually I ended up in America. And I ended up in America when I was 23. But before that, I had travelled. I'd been to all the various places like Amsterdam and Morocco and stuff like that, and done stuff. So I was quite well known, and I'm still quite well known today. Throughout my life, I'd been in and out of prison for a number of different offences, anything ranging from fraud, burglary, robbery. For quite a long time, I was lucky. I didn't actually get what you would call a proper prison sentence. I would always wiggle my way out of it, either beat the trial or get a very short sentence or some type of community sentence or something. Unfortunately, in 2002, I got involved in a violent offence which warranted me being sent to prison for 7 years. Even though I had been involved in violence or the fear of violence, intimidation and so on throughout my life, I'd never actually been in a position where I could have possibly taken someone's life. And in this incident, it was the case that the person could have died. And that concerned me because irrespective of what I might have done throughout my life, one thing I really never wanted to do was to kill anybody. And got me to thinking. So whilst in prison, I decided to do some research through the library, and I came up with Wave Trust as a project that dealt with prisoners who had violent behaviour and so on. So I enrolled onto the End of Violence program and went through a series of 10 sessions, I think it was, that covered anger management, drugs, alcohol, relationship with your life and what your purpose in life, basically. And just the reasons why I was the way I was, why I was violent, in the simple terms. What's good about my life now is that I'm calm and I don't let things affect me the way that they used to. I'm more thoughtful, more respectful, more appreciative of life in general. And not just of my own feelings, but other people's feelings as well. And they say respect is something that you can't buy in gold. And it's really true. You have to earn it. And I suppose Wave has taught me how I can earn that respect for myself and also have self-respect at the same time. Wave, through its teaching, has taught me to put the hatred and resentment and pain that I felt for my father away now. So, I live my life without that. Thinking about him every day, how much I hated him and so on and so on. And I have a different understanding now as to why he was how he was. He just didn't know any better. And it was just as simple as that. If I look at my own life and put it into the position of the 70/30 project, I can see that if early intervention or family support had been in my life, then the odds are that I might not even be here making this video today. If people decide that there's to be no child abuse, then there will be no child abuse. And I think if you can support Wave 70/30 project in any way, shape or form, whether it be financial or if you have particular skills that you could loan or give to Wave, then it would be so much better. Because obviously the world needs to come together, or people or communities or families need to come together to make this difference. It's not something Wave can actually do on its own. It takes everybody. That's my thoughts on that.